There's a particular kind of tiredness that comes from trying too hard to rest. You lie down and tell yourself to relax, and immediately your body tenses. You close your eyes and command your mind to be still, and the thoughts speed up. You take a deep breath and decide this is the moment you'll finally let go, and something in you tightens. And the harder you try, the further rest moves away. It's like chasing sleep. The moment you reach for it, it vanishes. The moment you need it desperately, it becomes impossible. And so you find yourself exhausted not just from life, from work, from all the things you carry, but from the effort of trying to stop being exhausted, tired from trying to relax, worn out from the work of resting. And somewhere beneath the frustration is a quiet confusion. How can something so natural, so simple, something every animal seems to do without thinking, become so impossibly hard? Why does the thing you need most feel like something you have to earn, to achieve, to get right? And the more techniques you try, the more methods you learn, the more you focus on doing relaxation correctly, the more distant it becomes. Until you start to believe there's something wrong with you, that everyone else has figured out how to rest and you're the only one who can't. That peace is meant for other people, but not for you. You've tried so many things. Downloaded the meditation apps and followed the calm voices telling you to breathe, to scan your body, to let thoughts pass like clouds. You've done the progressive muscle relaxation, tensing and releasing each part of your body in sequence, hoping that if you just follow the steps precisely enough, relaxation will finally arrive. You've tried yoga and stretching and long baths and nature walks and vacations that were supposed to restore you but somehow left you more exhausted than before. And each thing works for a moment. For a brief window, there's relief. A sense that maybe this time you've found it, maybe this is the answer. But then the technique stops working. The meditation session ends and the tension returns. The vacation ends, and you're right back where you started, maybe even more tense because now you've failed at resting too. And you start collecting these methods like tools in a toolkit, thinking that if you just find the right combination, the right sequence, the perfect approach, you'll finally be able to relax. But the toolkit gets heavier. The effort multiplies. What started as a simple need for rest has become a whole project of self-management, a second job of trying to undo the effects of the first job. And you're so tired. Not just physically tired, though there's that too, but tired in your soul. Tired of trying. Tired of the constant monitoring of whether you're relaxed enough, whether it's working, whether you're doing it right. Tired of failing at something that shouldn't require effort in the first place. Alan Watts understood this paradox in a way that most people miss. He saw that the very structure of trying to relax is self-defeating. That effort and relaxation are opposites, and you can't use one to achieve the other. It's like trying to float in water by tensing every muscle. The tension is what makes you sink. The trying is what prevents the floating. And yet we've built entire industries around teaching people how to try to relax, how to work at resting, how to achieve peace through disciplined effort. And it doesn't work. Not because people aren't trying hard enough, but because they're trying at all. Watts would say that relaxation isn't something you do. It's not a state you create through correct technique or sufficient willpower. It's what remains when doing stops, when trying ceases, when the effort to control your experience finally, completely, honestly gives up. And this sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but it goes against everything we've been taught. We've learned that if something isn't working, we need to try harder. If we're not getting results, we need better methods. If we're failing, we need more discipline. But with relaxation, all of that is backwards. The trying is the problem. The methods are the obstacle. The discipline is what creates the tension. And until you see this, really see it, you'll keep exhausting yourself in the pursuit of rest. The problem with trying is that it engages the part of you that wants to achieve, to accomplish, to get things right. It activates the mind that evaluates and judges and measures progress. And that mind, that achievement-oriented consciousness, is the opposite of rest. It's always reaching for something. Always comparing where you are to where you think you should be. Always monitoring whether this moment is good enough, whether you're relaxed enough, whether it's working yet. And that monitoring is tension. That reaching is effort. That comparison is the opposite of acceptance. So when you sit down to relax and you're trying to do it correctly, trying to make it happen, trying to evaluate whether you're succeeding, you've already failed. Not because you're bad at relaxation, but because you're trying to achieve something that can't be achieved. You're trying to do something that only happens when doing stops. It's like the old instruction about falling asleep. The moment you try to fall asleep, sleep becomes impossible. The trying keeps you awake. The effort prevents the very thing you're reaching for. And with relaxation, it's the same. Every ounce of effort you put into relaxing is an ounce of tension you're creating. Every technique you apply with the goal of achieving peace is another layer between you and the peace that's already here. Your body knows this. Your body has always known this. In moments when you weren't trying to relax, when you forgot to monitor yourself, when you were so absorbed in something that you lost track of whether you were tense or calm, your body relaxed on its own. When you were laughing with a friend and completely present in the conversation. When you were so focused on something you loved that time disappeared. When you were simply existing without agenda, without goal, without trying to be anything other than what you were. In those moments, relaxation happened naturally. Not because you did something right, but because you stopped doing anything at all. The body released its tension because there was no mental instruction to hold it. The breath deepened because there was no effort controlling it. The mind quieted because there was nothing it needed to figure out or fix or achieve. This is what Watts meant when he talked about the naturalness of relaxation. It's not something you have to learn to do. It's something that happens automatically when you stop preventing it. Like a ball that floats to the surface when you stop holding it underwater. The floating isn't something the ball achieves. It's what happens when the force holding it down is removed. And your natural state, the state your body and mind return to when not being controlled, is rest. Is a kind of relaxed alertness that doesn't require maintenance or effort or constant monitoring. But we don't trust this. We don't trust that the body knows how to rest. We've learned to override our natural rhythms, to push through tiredness, to force ourselves into shapes and schedules that ignore what the body actually needs. And then, when we finally decide it's time to rest, we approach it the same way we approach everything else. With effort, with control, with the determination to get it right. We try to manage our way into relaxation, try to discipline our way into peace. And the body, feeling this force, this pressure, this demand to relax right now and do it correctly, stays tense, stays vigilant, because it's being treated as something that needs fixing, something that's not working right, something that must be improved. And when you're being treated as a problem, relaxation isn't possible. When you're being commanded to change, rest isn't available. The very stance of trying to fix yourself is what keeps you in the state that needs fixing. It's a loop, a trap. And the harder you try to escape it through more trying, the more trapped you become. Watts called this the backwards law. The idea that the more you pursue something, the more it eludes you. The more you grasp for happiness, the more it slips away. The more you chase security, the more anxious you become. The more you try to relax, the more tense you feel. Because the pursuit itself affirms that you don't have what you're seeking. The grasping itself creates the distance from what you want. You're telling yourself, through the very act of trying to relax, that you're not relaxed. That relaxation is somewhere else, some other state you need to achieve. And that story, that belief, is what prevents you from noticing the peace that's already here. The ease that's available right now. The rest that doesn't require you to be any different than you are. When you're trying to become relaxed, you're not being relaxed. You're being someone who's trying. And trying, no matter how sophisticated the technique, is always tension, always effort, always the opposite of what you're reaching for. And this includes the spiritual bypass of trying to observe yourself being relaxed, trying to maintain witness consciousness, trying to be the one who watches the tension without being affected by it. Because that watching is still doing. Still effort, still trying. You think you're being mindful, being present, being the aware witness, but really you're just creating another layer of mental activity. Another job for consciousness. Another thing to maintain and monitor and evaluate. You're watching yourself try to relax, and the watching is just more trying in disguise. It's subtle. It feels more advanced. But it's the same trap. The same effort. The same division between who you are now and who you think you should be. And as long as that division exists, as long as there's a you trying to change another you, relaxation isn't possible. Peace isn't available. Because peace isn't something one part of you gives to another part. It's what remains when the division dissolves. When the watcher and the watched are recognized as the same. When trying stops not because you've achieved something, but because you've seen through the whole game. So what happens when trying stops? Not when you try to stop trying, because that's still trying. But when the trying just falls away because you've finally seen that it can't work, that it's been preventing the very thing you wanted. When that recognition lands, not as an idea but as a felt truth, something shifts. The body, no longer being commanded to relax, begins to release on its own. The breath, no longer being controlled, finds its natural rhythm. The mind, no longer being forced to be still, settles like sediment in water that stopped being stirred. This isn't something you do. It's something that happens when you stop doing. And it happens naturally, the way water flows downhill, the way a pendulum comes to rest. Not through effort, but through the absence of the effort that was preventing it. The body wants to relax. It's designed to oscillate between activity and rest, between tension and release. It knows how to do this. It's been doing it your whole life in the moments when you weren't interfering. And when you finally stop interfering, when you let go of the project of making yourself relax, the body returns to what it knows, returns to its natural state. Not because you've earned it or achieved it or done something right, but because you've finally stopped doing the thing that was preventing it. This doesn't mean you become passive. Doesn't mean you stop acting or engaging with life. It means you stop adding the unnecessary layer of trying on top of your actions. You can wash dishes without trying to become more relaxed while doing it. You can work without monitoring whether you're too tense. You can rest without evaluating whether you're resting correctly. The action continues, but without the exhausting overlay of self-conscious effort. Without the constant measurement of whether this moment is achieving its purpose. Without the pressure to be different than you are. And this is what relaxation actually is. Not a special state you achieve through practice. Not a feeling you create through technique. But the natural ease that's here when you stop treating yourself as a project. When you stop trying to fix or improve or optimize your experience. When you let yourself be exactly as you are, in this moment, without agenda. The trying stops not because you've mastered not trying, but because you've seen that trying was never necessary. That what you were reaching for was never absent. That the peace you've been seeking is what you are when you're not seeking. And you'll forget this. You'll catch yourself trying again. Monitoring again. Evaluating whether you're relaxed enough. And that's okay. The forgetting is part of it. What matters is the moment of recognition when you notice you're trying. That moment, that simple noticing without judgment, is the gap where trying can fall away. Not because you made it fall away, but because you've seen it clearly. Seen it for what it is. Another wave of the same pattern. Another movement of the mind that thinks it needs to achieve peace. And in the seeing, without trying to change what you see, the pattern begins to loosen. Begins to release its grip. Not all at once. Not permanently. But in that moment, there's freedom. There's ease. There's the simple recognition that you don't have to try. That you've never had to try. That what you are, underneath all the trying, has always been at peace. What you've been looking for through all this effort, all these techniques, all this trying to relax, it's not somewhere else. It's not in some future moment when you finally get it right. It's here. Now. In the awareness that's reading these words. That awareness isn't tense or relaxed. It isn't trying or not trying. It simply is. Spacious. Still. And the tension you feel, the trying you notice, the exhaustion you carry, all of that is appearing in this awareness like clouds appearing in sky. The clouds don't disturb the sky. The weather doesn't change the space in which it moves. And your true nature, what you actually are beneath all the content of your experience, is like that sky. Like that space. Untouched by what appears in it. Never tense. Never tired. Never needing to achieve relaxation because it is the peace that relaxation seeks. You are not the body that's trying to relax. You are the awareness in which both tension and relaxation appear. And that awareness has never not been at peace. Has never needed to try. Has never been anything other than what it is right now in this moment. When you recognize this, really recognize it not as an idea but as what's actually true, the whole search collapses. Not because you found what you were looking for, but because you've realized you never lost it. You've been it all along. The peace you've been trying to achieve is what's been aware of all the trying. The rest you've been seeking is what's been present through all the exhaustion. It's closer than your breath. More intimate than your thoughts. More immediate than any sensation. It's what's here before the trying starts and what remains when the trying stops. It's not something you become through practice or achieve through discipline. It's what you are. What you've always been. What you couldn't not be even if you tried. And all the trying, all the effort, all the techniques and methods and practices, they haven't been bringing you closer to this peace. They've been the activity of seeking which obscures what's already found, like searching for your glasses while they're on your face. The searching is what prevents you from noticing they're already there. So the trying stops. Not because you've done it correctly. Not because you've finally achieved the state of not trying. But because you've seen through it. seen that it was never necessary, seen that what you are has never needed improvement or achievement or effort. The relaxation you've been seeking reveals itself as what's been here all along. Not earned, not created, just recognized, just seen clearly for what it was always available. And in that recognition, there's rest. Not the rest that comes from lying down or taking vacation or doing the right technique, but the rest of finally coming home to yourself, of recognizing that you are what you've been seeking, that the peace you've been trying to achieve is the nature of the awareness that's been doing all the trying. And when you see this, when you really see it, you can laugh at the whole thing. At all the effort you put into trying to become what you already were. At all the techniques you learned to achieve what was never absent. At all the exhaustion you created trying to find rest. It was always here. Always available. Always what you were underneath all the seeking. You just had to stop looking long enough to notice. Stop trying long enough to recognize. Stop doing long enough to realize that being, just being without agenda or goal or need to be different, is the peace itself, is the relaxation itself, is what you've been looking for in all the wrong places while it was right here, waiting not to be found, but to be recognized as what was never lost.